Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to the last session already, time flies, of this Ancillary and Retailing event and show, I would say. And I know what you think. You say you came here because you know we kept the best for the last one, right? So I can tell you it's going to be the best panel of the session, with all respect to all the others that we had yesterday and today. The last topic, and not least, is about the day of travel. Everything we talked about yesterday and today was about knowing more about the customers and creating the offers and distributing those offers, making sure all that. But then comes the day of travel. We want to make sure that everything we deliver goes smoothly. If any irregular operation or any surprise happens, we can manage. But also that the traveler who's been flying arrives at the airport, and then what happens on the ground, etc. So that's what we are going to talk about. I have with me 5 panelists. We had very exciting times preparing that panel, so I hope you enjoy as much as we did. I'm going to invite them to join on stage, all of them at the same time. If you can just give them a big round of applause when they join me, and they're going to introduce themselves on stage. With that, please join me on stage. Thank you. You remember your seat number?
I forget my seat number.
You forgot your seat number.
Yeah, no, I remember now, yeah.
So someone help Bobby. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. So I have the aisle seat. So we decided on an icebreaker there, and we agreed that what we talk about is the delivery of cookies by drone. So I think the idea of the cookie came from Martin. So Martin is going to tell us about his passion for cookies, and then Bobby about delivering of cookies in 2 minutes. And with that, we'll carry on. Martin, what's your favorite type of cookies?
So I'm going to go store-bought Oreo, nice and simple, classic. Yeah. But those chocolate chip cookies that they served out there were one of the better cookies I've ever had. So either chocolate chip or Oreo. So
we are on record. Somebody's filming us, so the best cookies are the ones we had at that show. Thank you. And after the icebreaker, then we can introduce all of us. Thank you. Bobby, what do you think about delivering cookies? If I just snap my fingers, 2 minutes later, I have my favorite cookie coming 15 meters from the sky directly in my hand.
And I see an opportunity here to build an ancillary insurance business around the delivery of cookies as well.
I can't have my Oreos.
Some kind of medical service that you might need after some of those cookies are out there.
Oreos do crumble pretty easy.
Yeah, so drone delivery of cookies is huge.
It's massive.
Massive. Yeah.
All right, so that's how we started. Anybody wants to add anything to our new business? Jen?
Coffee delivery by drone.
I think people should rent cookies.
We could rent cookies.
I think that's a business.
I don't know how they would return them after they're finished.
Subscription model, maybe.
Subscription cookies, every morning.
See, look at the creativity is phenomenal.
2 clients already.
I mean, I like the cross-sell opportunity with the coffees. I know that's very popular. So cookie, coffee, drone delivery.
Proper ancillary people here.
Better than that.
We have a business model.
Could we explain?
I know.
Can we leave and go right up the business plan?
No, so the idea, we keep talking, and you're welcome to listen to our private conversation. So going back, let's introduce ourselves, please, to the audience. Martin, do you want to start?
Sure. So I'm Martin White. I'm with Spirit Airlines. We're a ULCC based in America. We've been around for about 30 years, 200 airplanes, 90 destinations. Don't fly over here. But we do fly to South America, Central America, Mexico, the Caribbean. We're the biggest ULCC in America. So we're the Ryanair, EasyJet of the US. Our whole business model is we'll sell you the fare cheaply, and then we're going to start selling you everything else. If we could figure out how to monetize oxygen, we would do it. Because we sell you the water, so we might as well sell you the oxygen. We make more money off of selling those ancillaries, but what we're going to talk about today really focuses on, we're not the typical low-cost carrier. You know, the low-cost carriers, especially in the US, get a bad rap for not providing a good customer experience. We actually care about our guests. We call our customers guests. And we spend a lot of money making sure that we provide the product that they want. So we have a value equation. It's not just about buying the cheap fare from us. We'll sell you whatever you want. And so if you buy everything, you can load up a purchase from us and have a great experience. But if you're a backpacker in college and you're on a tight budget, you can buy a really cheap fare and go to some exciting places. And you know, with my colleagues up here, we're going to talk about how do we make that day of travel a little easier for you, and it's all about the products. So I'm going to talk about I'm calling it the 3 Ps of the day of travel. We start with the planning process, and we start the day we sell you the ticket. We then go on to the personalization. We actually have a great frequent flyer program, which I'll talk about, that allows us to capture a lot of data. And then we have loads of product that make it interesting. So we're a different sort of ULCC, and you know, we love our model. It works.
Great. Thanks, Martin.
You seem so much nicer than Michael O'Leary as well.
Is he out here?
No, I interviewed him here a few years ago. It was a total disaster. He ran off with the microphone and started beating everyone up in the audience.
Oh.
Yeah, anyway.
I'm not going to do that.
But we digress.
So maybe, what business are you talking about today? Which one are you representing on stage?
So I am a co-founder of Meili Travel Technologies, and we are a technology distribution platform for car hire to airlines. And so these two put together with my stuff in the middle. That's the simplest way to say it. Yeah. And I ran car trawler. I built and ran car trawler for 15 years. Most people would know that in the airline and the ancillary industry, and I'm now kind of reformed and apologizing to my previous customers for introducing friction in order to maximize revenue. So competing with the car hire companies with an insurance product, maximizing revenue on the other side, and very successful business, but a model full of friction. And now what myself and Mike are doing is building I would say, a disruptive platform. We've signed our first 5 airlines. We're live now with Lufthansa, for example, and really tightly integrating the car hire loyalty program with the airline loyalty program and monetizing the airline passengers with a friction-free, straight-to-car product. So technology-wise, not as sexy as the drone delivery business, but a very important space that we're filling there in a kind of the need space for airlines and consumers.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
And Jen?
Yeah, thank you. Jennifer Koontz. I'm the Assistant Vice President of European Airport Properties and Relations for Enterprise Holdings. We own and operate the rental car brands globally: Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Alamo Rent-A-Car, and National Car Rental. We were founded in 1957 by Jack Taylor in St. Louis, Missouri, still privately held. The world's largest mobility provider. We've got 90 countries covered with a fleet of about 2.1 million vehicles and over 10,000 branches. So definitely prominent in transportation hubs such as rail stations and airports. And most, if not all of you in this room, have probably hired a car at some point in your lives, whether for business or personal travel, leisure. And that process is often, unfortunately, known as having a lot of friction. Long queues, headaches at the counter, waiting for cars, sometimes challenges with car cleanliness. So I'm going to talk today about removing a lot of that friction, utilizing technology, and leveraging that against that high human touch that's often needed during a car hire transaction as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Chris?
Great. Yeah, well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. We know the next thing is happy hour, so we know why you really stayed, not to see us. But I'm Chris Gwilliam. I'm the Vice President of Business Development for Airport Dimensions. Airport Dimensions, we're a global leader in airport experiences, be it both physical and digital. So we're most commonly known for our lounges. We've got a network of over 50 lounges across the world, predominantly in the US, but also UK and Middle East. We also developed and own a brand called Sleep and Fly, which is a sort of a nap pod solution, pretty cool if you haven't experienced that. And then we've recently developed as well gaming lounges, so places that people can come and play video games and have some fun, bring the kids, big kids too. You'd be surprised, actually, what the average age is of people using those facilities are. We're owned by the same company that runs Priority Pass. So for those of you familiar with that, it's the largest global membership program in the world. It's got over 40 million members. So very similar. We're getting a lot of data from those members in terms of what they want. And then given all of the physical assets we have, like our vision and our product that we launched, we've got a digital proposition called Connector. The intent being to tie the airport experience together and bring all of the ecosystem under one single platform to help customers navigate and monetize that. So look forward to chatting with you this afternoon. Thanks, Chris. Randel.
Good. Well, nice to see everybody as part of this closing session for FTE Dublin. Can't believe we're here. I'm Randel, CEO and founder of a business which is called AirPortr Technologies. And the business was built to solve a pain point which I think we're probably all quite familiar with, which is baggage. I think we've all experienced painful journeys when traveling with bags, and actually on the flip side, when you don't have a bag, that journey is just infinitely easier. So as I say, we built a product that enables us to effectively handle a bag from your doorstep through into the airport system, onto the plane, and then clear it through customs and have it delivered to your address on arrival as well. So really, as I say, like separating passenger and bag at those key bottlenecks in the journey so that you have a more friction-free airport experience, but also freeing up alternative transport choices for customers in terms of how they get to the airport. So we know that actually quite often people opt to use taxis, even if they're a bit more expensive, less reliable in terms of things like traffic. So it's amazing. You see the bag taken out of the equation. It's a real enabler to mobility, and people then switch to public transportation and travel to the airport bag-free, but also through it. So really saving time, saving effort, and then that's a product that we commercialize and sell through our airline partners. So we work with big brands like British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, Air France, KLM, Swiss, Austrian Airlines. So it's quite exciting. It's a new product category, but it's really gathering a lot of momentum, and I think that's against an interesting backdrop, which was the amount of people that had baggage pain over the last couple of years especially has increased quite substantially. I think I was looking at a IATA data point recently that said 1 in 5 people surveyed said they were dissatisfied with the airline service around baggage. So yeah, that's my kind of specialist subject, and talk some more about that today.
Is that why you split the two of us up, since I lose them and he keeps them?
But that's it. So, and there's lots of connection. I think we heard from your introduction.
There was a mother-in-law connection as well.
Well, that yeah. was offline. The way you're sitting between current and airline, the way baggage and airline are far apart, all's been very well thought through. So we talked about removing friction. I think that's a common theme either between the business, between the day of travel, etc. Can we start? And the theme of the whole event is customer of tomorrow. So they're coming out of the pandemic, etc. So let's start with the customer, and let's start. Martin, you're close to the customer. They make they plan their flight, their trip, etc. with you. Can you tell us what you see in terms of evolution of the customer, of their needs, what they're buying, and how they plan their day of travel, considering everything we discussed?
So I think one of the common threads among all 5 of us is data. It's common with all of you as well. It's a common thread for the whole conference. Everybody's talked about it. We are using data to really change the experience. So like I said, the 3 Ps, starting with planning, we're really trying to collect as much data about our guests. We call our customers guests. We try to collect that data up front from the moment they start buying the ticket. So we don't wait until the day of travel. We actually start it the day they buy their ticket. And we use that data that we learn from that first experience all the way through the model. And then we basically use various forms of personalization, as simple as our loyalty program. We've got more of a legacy carrier type loyalty program. Most ULCCs really don't focus on loyalty, but we've decided it's a good way to invest and collect more data. And then once we have that data, we basically design products around that that fulfill their needs. So unlike a lot of ULCCs or even airlines that don't, or they're kind of in the middle between the legacy that invest a lot in product and typical ULCCs or LCCs that don't invest, we've invested in a lot of products, again, to give the guest choice. So for instance, we've got a Plus Grade product. Plus Grade is one of the sponsors. We do a seat bid product that allows people to bid on our big front seats. We've got a first class type of product up in the front of our airplanes. We're rolling out a new product with Hopper next week called Cancel for Any Reason, CFAR. It's one of their existing products. It's pretty well known. And that's going to allow our guests to customize their journey with us. And so through a whole woven together combination of those sort of products, we're really taking that data, designing new products, and making sure that when it comes time to travel, and we all get out on the road and actually the day of travel, getting in the car or in the airplane or whatever we're doing, we've hopefully removed all that friction before it even starts. Now, we're still going to lose a bag or two. But you know, we want to make sure that we don't mess up the customer's journey all the way through that process. And the way that we handle bags is we've introduced a self-bag drop. So I was listening to Charu's presentation this morning from Alaska. And much like they're doing with their airport model where they're trying to get people through the airport in 5 minutes or less, we've got the same intent. I think pretty much every airline does. Make it easy to get through the airport, make it easy to get through security, and then make it easy to get on board the airplane. Those are really the three friction points at the airport at least. And so through the introduction of our self-bag drop, we've gotten about 15 markets now. And you literally just walk straight to the counter, you self-drop your bag, just like the name says, you get your boarding pass and you're on. So, you know, it takes that 5-minute model and it really delivers on it. And people don't expect that from a low-cost carrier like us because they think, oh, it's a low-cost carrier, you're not going to spend money on the gas, but we've really changed that model.
Excellent. And so following that thought, because I hear at the same time I want to go through the airport at 5 minutes. It happened to me many times that I check out of the hotel at noon. I'm with my bag. My flight is at 7 or 9 p.m. What do I do on the day of travel? All right. So I don't know, Chris, or is there any solution for that? Is it the airline who should care about me, who should care about the guest? Is it the airport who should try to get in touch with me on that day of travel to make my life easier? Is it the baggage guys who's going to help me with my bag? How do you see that? How do you share data? How do you get in touch with customers?
Yeah, I think the omni-channel is the right answer to that. I think you as a guest coming through, you don't necessarily care how you get that experience. It may come through your airline or it may come through your airport, but there will be different ways to enter depending on what your first point of entry is, right? Your first point of entry may be parking. Your first point of entry might be, I want to go book a lounge. But however you do that, if it can take you into a single ecosystem and then you see everything, available for you, I think that's the end goal, where we're trying to get to. And I think as we think about that, we look at as we get into more of our loyalty side and our digital side, we look at street side and we say, well, what is Hilton doing and what are even airlines doing? And then how do you do that within an airport? And so, talking about data, we do an annual travel survey, and this last one we did, we had about 9,000 annual respondents. And one of the questions that we asked them, because we're really curious about the role of loyalty, with an airport and how you could use that to remove friction. And we asked them whether or not they'd be able to pay for a membership to their airport. And we gave them different package options, right? Like gold, silver, platinum. You could get 2 free lounge visits. You could get preferred parking. You get 10% off retail. We gave them a list of things. And it was amazing to us that over 50% of our respondents said they would more than happily pay to get into that type of program. So they get those sort of preferred treatments. So I think, and then you can, as I say, how you engage with that, how you enter that, many different ways, but taking them to that place that they can do that, I think is the important thing.
And similar question about the cars, because when I travel and I book my flights, I would either have well, usually I have, wherever I go, I have an offer from the airline. One stop they want to sell the hotel, then they sell car rental, so it's all the steps. Regardless of I'm traveling on an island with my family, where I would expect they offer the car rental with it because I would need it. But if it's a day trip, like coming to Dublin, like you this morning, and flying back to London tonight, you don't need it. So how do you know what travelers expect on the day of travel, and is there any way you can do that today?
Yeah, so again, it's about that data capture, and we talked about removing friction, and we started on that journey years even before COVID, and introduced our tablet technology, which is based on situational awareness technology. So essentially, we took our standard computer, which was our rental operating system, out from behind the counter and put that in the palm of our rental agents' hands so they could interact with the customer at the car. So if you think about car rental at an airport, we're a retail offering. Our products just happen to be cars. So if you're not familiar with a certain car class or make or model, if you're traveling from North America into Europe, you may not be aware of all the product available to you. So for you to make an informed decision, you need to be in the car park observing what's on offer for you to make that decision.
You're right. I don't know what a Skoda is.
Exactly. And same with
You don't
insurance
wanna know.
products. Do you want to take extra protection on this vehicle? Well, if you upgrade to a Mercedes E-Class, for example, you may want to. So it's really starting to capture that data at the point of rental and saving it to the customer's profile. But we've also gone on a journey which started pre-COVID and probably was a bit fast-tracked during pre-COVID on a whole customer experience and what those expectations are, and really utilizing and leveraging technology to incentivize customers to give us information on what they need and expect. Whether you're a business rental customer, so we'll have your profile if you rent from us quite often through our National Emerald Club loyalty program, for example. We know exactly what you want, and you know exactly what to do at our various airport locations, whether it's in North America or in Europe. So it's really trying to, instead of segmenting a leisure customer, and we don't want all of that data, but a business customer, because we want to give them that speed, choice, and control, because that's what's important to them. We're trying to get all of that data now for all customers to make that quick and seamless. So it's using our apps, pre-authorizing through various technologies, having a profile saved with driving license information, credit card information, and remembering what that customer likes for different journeys that they're taking, and then using that to help them be as quick as possible. Because the airplane ride is not the start or the end of the journey at the airport. They've got another mode of transport that they need to take to get to that destination. And we want car rental to be first and foremost in the front of the traveler's mind.
Yeah. So let's say I flew with Martin, I made my booking there, and no, not with you. I mean, I was saying the flight is delayed, so it's not with you, it's with another airline. The flight is late.
Of course. I knew that.
But you worked maybe with Bobby to make the booking, and the flight is late, and my car is there. Who's going to take care of my car rental?
Yeah.
Bobby, if something happens, who's going to message and make sure my car is still there if my flight is coming 3 hours later?
That's standard disruption management that airlines support. There's IATA messages that get pushed out when there's a flight up.
And the car rental.
And so the car rental company will have that data, and they also have. We don't get in the way of customer data, so they have the phone number, the email address, and so on of the customer. So that's actual standard operating procedure now for airlines. Yeah.
Okay.
And the great thing is, every time I rent a car from National, I put my flight information in.
Yes.
They know that I'm delayed.
Yeah.
Same time I know I'm delayed.
Yeah.
So they're going to deal with it automatically.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, in my old world, that wasn't the case because we broke the link between the airline and the supplier, being a broker. Yeah. So the experience would be you missed your flight or your flight was delayed. You'd have to call us, and we'd operate a call center in 16 languages, 3 shifts, 24/7, introducing all this extra cost. And what did we do? Yeah. We just called the supplier on your behalf. Yeah. It was like 2 Stone Age things joined together, and so we just removed that friction. And so you're from my IATA world, you know how this works, right? IVT or DVT messages, airline has a hiccup, gets passed through. These guys know how to manage that everyone's happy.
Yeah.
So you don't need, there's no rocket science to that, just get out of the way.
Yeah. So I was asking the question to say each time we remove intermediaries, etc., we remove the friction and we make things easier for customers, especially
yeah, but where intermediaries can be good if they focus on why they exist. It's about technology is important here, right? And big companies, I said this in the panel earlier on, find it hard to innovate on the technology side. And also they have a disadvantage in that any innovation they do, an airline does or a car hire company does, is just for themselves. And so if anyone can supply everyone with intelligence, and particularly around choosing the right product to surface. Like you book your flight on Spirit Airlines, we get an opportunity to show you 3 cars because there's not enough space on mobile devices or whatever. And so you got to get those 3 cars right, because the difference between 10% conversion and 20% conversion is whether or not you choose the right cars. That optimization is an expert job, and it's based on an understanding of not necessarily car hire or airline retailing. It's an understanding of behavioral economics and how customers purchase online and what ways you can influence them. And then you have to correlate that with the data that we saw when in our previous life, where at any one airport we would have had anywhere from 10 to 50 different car hire companies. And the more car hire companies after 3, up to 3, you got a certain conversion, up to 8, you got perfect conversion, or the perfect marriage of conversion and NPS. The moment you started to add more than 7 or 8 suppliers, you're starting to obviously introduce lower quality suppliers. And you did that anyway to maximize conversion, maximize revenue, and the revenue kept increasing marginally. Slow, hard wins, the more suppliers you threw in. But the NPS was inversely correlated to choice. So you would decimate customer satisfaction and NPS, while small improvements to the margin. So what I would say is there's a role, and I wouldn't call it an intermediary here, I would call it technology retailing excellence with the 2 actors, the car hire companies and the airlines. That's where it's valid.
And do you also help in increasing the conversion? Like, to me, booking the car or the bags, etc., is like post-booking. The day I book my flight, 3-6 months in advance. What is the right time when I'm going to book my car, or book the bag, or book the lounge?
Yeah.
How do you see that? And can you bring value in terms of...
The airline has such a massive advantage over all the other players, because the flight is the first thing that's planned, right? And where the top of funnel is GDS or airline.com or NDC or whatever it is, the airline sees the customer first and knows customer intent before anyone else except maybe Google. And if the airline has a good brand, then anything relevant to the journey that the airline surfaces is a trusted product. And the airline is the one that has the biggest advantage and the most number of times to retail that opportunity to the customer. And again, if there's loyalty involved, either on the product side, in our case, the car hire supplier has a loyalty product, or the airline has a loyalty product, and there's a special marriage between those 2 loyalty systems, then if the customer needs a car hire and the airline doesn't sell it, then they've screwed up somewhere along the way. There's an information gap or an implementation gap. Our only job is to take the data and take the touch points and surface the right content, and then get out of the way. But the airlines have such a strong advantage here, and our job is just to enable that to surface the right car.
Yeah. We really feel like we've made a mistake if we haven't sold them everything in this journey by the time they finish with us.
That's it.
And that's our goal, is to try to get that complete sale up front. Obviously, we want to make money off of it, but we also think it's easier and better for the guest if they buy from us and just get it done in one fell swoop.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we're happy to share the money down the line, but we want to keep our fair share of it.
Yeah, and that's why I think we've got choice of product and service. So we operate 3 separate and distinct brands for different consumer demographics at airports. And 2 of those have their own loyalty products. One focuses solely on the business traveler, although it's, anyone can join in. And having that choice, not just what we would consider traditional car hire, but different modes of car hire, whether it's the hourly car club, even at airports, depending on the nature of the journey, longer term rentals through our Month or More program. So different products and services, I think, having that distinct variety and choice available to the consumer helps strengthen their choice of onward travel as well.
And so like for bags, for example, at what time travelers make their decisions to say, I need help with my bag? It's not 6 months in advance. Is it like 2 days before? Or?
Yeah, the sort of sweet spot for that is the week before travel. Because if you think about the product that we're selling, I mean, you've got to know when you're going to be at home to have your bag picked up. You're going to choose a time slot for the courier to come to your doorstep and collect it, right? So what we try and do in terms of the distribution that we build with our airline partners is, yes, get some early stage awareness out there. So maybe you first start talking to the customer like 30 days before they fly. And then back to your point, you want to sort of communicate to them several times in the run-up to day of travel. And so really then we kind of intensify that sort of nudge with the customer to use the bag service like 7 days before. And then we really see most of the demand comes through like 3 days before departure, because that's when you know, I'm going to be at home at this time, I'm going to book the product. But you're also thinking about how painful your journey is going to be if you travel to the airport with a bag. So you kind of go, right, now I'm going to book this. And it's quite interesting, like we had to build, because when we first launched this totally new product, it was very basic the way that we were selling it. And some of the work that our airlines do to kind of refer customers to come through to us and book this product, there's not a lot of targeting. So we don't really know who's going to come on to the site to look and book this product. And on our side, we had a very basic approach to it, right? It was kind of quite flat pricing structure, not a lot of differentiation there between whether you're a business traveler or a kind of, more occasional traveler, like a family sort of traveling during that peak summer period. So our pricing was very simple. Our offering was very simple in terms of speed of service, tightness of time slot. And those are all things that we've actually built a lot of differentiation around since getting this product first in the market. So given we don't know a lot about who's coming in to look to book this product when they actually land, it's become our job to kind of offer that choice. And so you come into the flow and you almost self-identify as, look, I'm a business traveler because I want my bag picked up between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning because I'm flying long haul to Hong Kong from Heathrow at 9 o'clock. And so you're choosing same-day delivery, tight time slot for the pickup, and we yield that price and you pay more. But that works for you. And chances are you may be kind of putting that as company expense, and so you don't really mind if that costs you 60, 70 pounds for a kind of premium delivery. But then we also have to offer, a more affordable product for the leisure audience that, as I say, they're more occasional. So are they that familiar with the pain point? And during school holiday times, stuff like that, you can offer day before collection, wider time slot, much better price because you get consolidation through logistics. So yeah, we really figured out there's so much that you can do with, time slots and availability, price, to then open this product up to the different segments, and that's good.
Next topic, I didn't mention when we prepared, right? So you're going to improvise now, but it's something that came in linked to removing the friction that everybody's been playing with is generative AI, ChatGPT, etc. Since the beginning of the year. How do you see those technology coming? And how do you see them impacting customer service and the day of travel, being with registration with my car and all that, choosing the right car, etc., being planning, being everything we discussed. Martin, I start, because customers book with you.
Well, partially because we're at the front of the experience. Yeah. We have to start thinking about traffic to the airport, parking in the garage, all those things that are completely outside of our ownership of the guests. But to the point that you made earlier, Eric, we kind of see ourselves as much as we can own the total experience, we want to keep that experience, so we need to take responsibility for it. So whether it's worrying about, last minute, I can't get my bag to the airport because I've got to go and run an errand on the way, I want somebody else to do it, we need to start thinking about, do we provide a product like that? On the car hire side, a lot of times it's at the end of the experience, so we're getting you to your destination. We're not thinking about where you're going. We just want to get you connected to the car. So again, it comes back to data for us. And we're starting to get into the AI side of it, but it's really more predictive modeling and keeping up with data that's already available to us. So it's tapping into available data in a better way to use it, consume it, and then pass it on to our partners. And it's passing on to all of you what we collect up front, because we're going to, you know, if we delay the outbound flight, all of you have to deal with that. And so we've got to pass that data on. So that's one way that we're starting to think about it.
Anybody else looking into GPT and others?
Yeah, I think for us, it's looking at how these technologies are evolving, especially in the connected car space. So we've got partnerships with all of the major OEMs, and we're working in some key markets, the US and the UK being two of those, on some connected car pilots. And it's not only getting the data back from the cars to help us be more efficient in our airport operations, which are actually quite complex, and we want to be as efficient as possible to help service the customer at the end of the day. But in the future, in the very near future, the data that we get back, we won't only aggregate, but we will utilize that to create a very highly personalized experience for the individual consumer. So all of this work that we've been doing over the years to help personalize that experience, kind of put the consumer in control, whether that's with our situational awareness technology, or we call our launch pads with our agents in the car park, or the technology that we have today with our car club that's self-serve. You can unlock the car with your app and you don't have to speak with anybody. That's fully self-service. It's really going that step beyond and creating an individual, unique experience based on information and data that we're going to be able to collect from the cars and from the individual drivers while they're in those cars.
So the way I would see, there's two ways to look at this, and a different way of looking at this. Large language models, ChatGPT, are not really relevant for processing data, and you're right. So that's regression analysis standard, right? Standard predictive modeling, and that's all fine. Why large language models are interesting is they change the way consumers will engage with products. Not now, but it's coming. And the way to think about the real effect or the real impact that's going to have on this industry is going to be over the next 10 years, not the next 3. And it's going to be the next generation, and maybe even the current generation of users will adapt to conversational practice rather than typing and clicking. And why that's important is, if anyone remembers when Google started, you know, they made search easy. And ChatGPT and large language models will make getting information, getting questions answered easy in a conversational way. And therefore, they will control the top of the funnel. So Bard, Google's version, OpenAI's version, ChatGPT, and there'll be a handful of others, will become the most meaningful way for consumers to engage with brands. And so therefore, the way brands should think about this is they risk being re-aggregated by another layer of technology that's going to monetize their products. And you think of a Spirit sitting, suddenly the Spirit logo isn't there anymore. It's all text. It's get me a flight to Vegas. You know, I want a party. I'm going with my friends, blah, 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 whatever, right? Tell me in emotive terms, in subjective terms, what I want. And this thing is going to give you the answer, right? So the way brands should be thinking about this is planning now, taking their Navitaire or whatever booking engines we use and thinking, right, what are customers really coming to us for? What is the experience we're selling? How do we devise that experience? How do we break it down into a product? And then how do we surface that to large language models? And beat Google at the game, beat Booking.com, beat Expedia by surfacing your content. So think NDC, right? But NDC in a conversational way. So if I was a brand now, I wouldn't be hiring any consultants. I'd be hiring a couple of young kids in there that understands AI, large language models, and I'd start to produce a layer inside my organization to surface my product, my values, my experience, so that the large language models, when they take over the world, like Planet of the Apes, will start to surface enterprise instead of, you know, Nice Rent-A-Car, whatever the hell it is, Spirit instead of Frontier. It's if you're there first at the top of the funnel, you will win.
You're safe at that point.
Yeah. But don't get aggravated. Don't make the mistakes airlines made for the last 800 years. You know, we let GDSs in.
We let everybody else sell
Then
our
we
product,
let
right?
then we let the big OTAs in.
Well, first of all, we let the travel agents in.
Travel
They
agents,
used
kick
to
them
own
out,
us.
then the GDSs,
Right.
then the OTAs, and you work so hard, as do car hire companies for this matter, you work so hard to try and service your brand. Well, here you are. You have one more chance. It's conversational economics. It's coming. It's a 10-year play. Get in there now. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Fascinating. You know what? I pause here for a minute. I look at the audience to see if I see any hands. I see one hand here for a question.
He's always got his hand up.
I know. And if there's anybody else you want to ask a question, and then we resume.
You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I am curious, though. It is actually for you, Martin. You mentioned you want to sort of own. You feel successful when you sell all of it to the customer. How willing are you also to support those sales afterwards when the customers have questions and sort of essentially you're making yourself the travel agent,
right,
or sales agent or whatever you want? How willing is Spirit to actually earn that margin by handling the customer service issues that are associated with that?
Yeah, no, Seth, it's a great question. We do take responsibility for it. We get a bad rap in the States. I don't know how many of you are from the States, but you know, Jimmy Fallon and Kimmel and those guys, they love to joke about us, which is fine. But we really take our business model seriously. And for the last 10 years, we have really taken on a different role. We have a program called Invest in the Guest. And as we have spent millions of dollars over the last 10 years to change how we operate our business, we've become a good operator. And part of that is taking responsibility for that relationship with the guest. Sure, we have newer airplanes, we have better seats, we've improved the physical product itself. But what we're most proud of is actually the relationships that we've created with millions and millions of people who choose to fly us. Now, we're not doing it perfectly by any means, but we work hard at it. We're constantly trying to improve it. And an example of that is, and I'd be remiss if our app guys were here, the Spirit app is a fantastic piece of technology. We have about 65% adoptability rates for the app. And it's a way, you know, all of us have talked about technology. And it's the best way that we figured out how to connect with our guests. Now, Spirit.com is a great e-commerce site and a great website as well, but that app allows us to really have those two-way communications and make it easy. But as far as a responsibility standpoint, we very much take that responsibility very seriously, and we're improving it. We're far from there, but we're definitely working to improve it.
Good. Anybody else? So I'll come back once more at the end. We have just a few minutes left, so I'd like to, starting the wrap-up, looking in the future, what comes next and what we can do to further remove friction. And maybe I start with the other side of the panel here. Randel, what do you see in 3-5 years? We don't have crystal ball, but if all things go to plan, etc., in the world of baggage, how do you see the customer experience, customer of tomorrow? What will change if we meet again in Dublin in 3-5 years? What will be the new normal of the customer experience?
Well, I mean, I think the new normal will be, hopefully, a world where the majority of people check in a bag away from the airport. And so that people turn up at the airport and they are, ready to fly. So they just literally turn up and go straight through. And I think all of that landside space, who actually enjoys that bit of the journey? What is it actually there for? So if you could do away with all of that and have people just kind of coming in, whether it's in a car or public transport, just going straight through security and then, enjoying everything that's airside, I think that should be the future model. And if you take the bag out of the equation, that is entirely possible. And the stuff that, going back to your earlier comments around, artificial intelligence and machine learning and the potential of that kind of stuff, the things that I'm really interested in is I've talked a lot about how this product reduces friction for the customer, but it also reduces a lot of operational friction. And a lot of stuff that I talk to airport operators about is peak shaving. So, they build infrastructure to handle peak days, and then the rest of the time, it's underutilized. And if you can use this product as a tool to take bags off the system, at peak times, you can actually rethink the whole infrastructure development model. And so I think there's big data sets out there around pressure points on airport baggage systems that you can plug into and listen to, and then influence the baggage offer through the airline. So actually, if you're booking this product in an off-peak time, maybe you pay for it as an add-on, but if it's peak time, maybe the airline offers it to you either without a cost or with an incentive versus checking a bag in at the airport the old school way. So, I mean, I think that's, where I want to see this thing go. So, very nice airport.
Okay. Chris, what's the airport experience in 5 years? What's
definitely. I mean, I think what we're going to see, sort of macro trend, is there's going to be a big shift in allocation of real estate. I think all the research that we're doing with the Gen Zs that are now, obviously the millennials are already the biggest traveling population, but don't think about them because the Gen Zs are right behind them, right? And we all know how long it takes to do anything in an airport. We've got to be thinking about that, next generation. And all of the data that we're seeing is that, retail, there's still a role for retail, but it's a different type of retail. It's going to be more experiential. Technology will be the transactional factor, and they don't want to carry it anymore. They'll want it shipped to home. So it's like retail will be very different. And so how do you think about reallocating that space? And so experiential, experiences now. We're learning people want, they want a place to rest. They either want to rest, they want to relax, or they want to be entertained. And so, you're solving for those kind of three, use cases. And so I think we're going to see a shift in real estate, towards those things. And then I think we're going to see like more premiumization, right? I think the world is premiumizing we're in every single sector. And I think you're going to see that in the airport experience as well, like going back to the loyalty that we discussed. You want to be looking at, an airport wants to be looking at who are my frequent travelers and how do I get them more sticky, right? And how do I get more revenue from them? So if you can sell them packages where they do get preferential parking or where they get, express, you're going to see like more fast pass, TSA lanes coming through because nobody wants to wait. You're going to see, so all of that premiumization to help that, experience, you're going to see that as well, I think, as well.
So far away from we talked about commoditization of travel. What you're seeing is more like differentiation and premium. And I'm sure in cars, Jen, tell us about what you see. There's been massive changes, with the Uber of the world, etc.
Absolutely.
So what do you see in 3-5 years as big trends happening?
Yeah, and you're seeing this across the whole of the car rental industry, but for us at Enterprise specifically, it's continuing to invest in those technologies or strategic relationships and partnerships to leverage technology, product, or service enhancements. So it's all about, it's not just a transaction, as you said, Martin, it's an interaction with the customer. And it's really meeting the customer with the right car at the right time in the right location. So you'll continue to see an evolution to that throughout the whole industry, and connected car, I think, is going to be a real game changer to what we can offer, not just via our 3 brands, but what the industry is going to bring to the table to more personalized and making a more premium offering to consumers as well.
Self-driving cars as well?
Self-driving cars, that was a big topic of interest pre-COVID, and now it's moved to EV territory. So we've got 2 fully electric EVs out on the exhibition floor. If anyone has not noticed, please have a look around and take a look. And we've got a plug-in hybrid out there as well.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a lot happening within the kind of fuel space, as with aviation, but a big push particularly in Europe with the move towards EVs.
That's kind of back to the responsibility side of what we all do.
Yeah.
We've got to take that into account.
Is it a flying car you see in 3 years, or is it still on the ground?
Well, Bobby's
probably
going to
not
help.
in 3 years, but
That's Bobby, okay.
That's actually, you joke, that's coming, but it's at least 10 years away. The technology's there now, the regulation's not.
Yep.
Okay.
I grew up with the Jetsons.
As crazy as that sounds,
100%
100% Enterprise will be renting flying cars.
Exactly.
100%.
I can't wait.
Someone will be.
Electric.
Someone will be. Maybe it won't be Enterprise, but I think they should be. The technology's there. There's companies manufacturing flying cars at the moment. They're not certifiable yet because it's all a little bit too explosive and dangerous. But they'll get there. They'll get there, and it'll be an incredibly exciting product. You're going to arrive off your Spirit flight into Vegas. Spirit are going to have sold you a flight straight out of the airport. Enterprise will fulfill that. It's going to be absolutely magical And that's not far away. We have the technology already to do that.
Yeah.
My other business does a small version of that. But, you know, but before you ask me, I'll answer anyway. What do I see as the future? What I'd like to think is that consumers are connected in a much more seamless way to brands that they love, the experiences that they love, the quality products that they love, and they can get those products. They can buy them, eat them, whatever it is, in any channel that they want to operate in, be it on their phone, on their app, at a kiosk, through ChatGPT, whatever it is. But the important thing is the connection between the brand, the product, the experience, and the consumer is friction-free. And that this awful situation that the travel industry's got itself into, where the brokers and the middlemen are making more money than the suppliers on a transaction, is just nuts. And the consumer doesn't understand it. The consumer is lost on trying to understand what roles each brand plays. They don't know who to call when things go wrong. My hope is that over the next 10 years, we wind back the clock on all the friction that's been inserted by brokers and middlemen, middle persons, sorry to be politically incorrect there, and we fix that. And we just make it an easier world to be a person that travels and experiences travel around the world.
Yeah. So today with cars, but tomorrow you could.
Cars is a simple one.
It's
everything.
So you start with cars, but you could do it with any other needs. Okay, good. Martin.
I want to see the shift back to loyalty. The millennials, the Gen Xers, these new generations. I'm old. I get it. We bought in 30 years ago to loyalty programs, and they were very effective. They worked for, first of all, on the airline side, the hotels, the cars figured it out. We all benefited from it. We've kind of lost that model now, and you know, I've got 3 grown kids, and they'll buy from any brand that they want to, whether it's based on price or quality or whatever they're looking for. I'm hoping that in 5 or 10 years, there's going to be a shift back to loyalty. It's kind of like what Seth asked about. We see that not only the responsibility to deliver the product, but we also want to have that relationship, a long-term relationship. And the best way to do that is to deliver on our promise of delivering the product that we've sold. So we never intend to be late. We never intend to cancel a flight. We never intend to lose a bag, but we do it. And it's what we do after that and having that relationship, that long-term relationship with the guest. I'm hoping that we start to shift back to that, and you know, these generations understand that there's a role for loyalty and the travel industry can deliver it because we all get it. We want to do it, and I hope we start to shift back to that.
Thank you all. Thank you all. I just check with the audience if there's any last-minute burning question. I see none. So I just want to ask everybody to join me in thanking all our panelists. We had a lot of fun in that panel, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. And